it's Wentworth.
Alright, I have a structured settlement and I need cash now. Call JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. I have an annuity, but I need cash now. Call JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. 877 cash now. Call JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. Call now.
Teams getting ready to take the field here in Concarneau, and USA and Japan at the 2016 U-20 World Cup met in the third place match. Japan getting a victory 1-0 over the USA in that match. And Kat, I think that it's fair to say this U.S. team comes in maybe feeling a little bit of pressure to improve upon that fourth place performance 2 years ago.
Well, it's important for the United States to have the expectations that you have to be in the top 4 in every single tournament. It's difficult the way that the countries are putting forth money into the youth groups, so it's going to be a lot harder for the United States to do that. But the expectations are there. They have to realize that, and they have to understand that and come out and play like the United States knows how to play.
I think one thing we'll all be watching for with this U.S. team also is, are we going to see a better performance than what we saw at CONCACAF qualifying earlier in the year? Back in January, the team saying they felt their performance really pretty average, but they hadn't had a lot of time together. And all we've heard talking to the coaches leading up to this match is they feel this is a much improved team. So I know we're looking forward to see how that plays out on the field. Japan should be a good test. I mentioned these two teams meeting in that third place match at the U-20 World Cup. Japan was also the USA's last opponent at the 2016 U-17 World Cup, and that was a 3-2 win for Japan.
The national anthem of the United States of America. Mesdames et messieurs, nous prions de vous lever pour l'hymne national des États-Unis.
So this begins this tournament for both of these teams in group play. For the USA, said their goal coming in was 35, to stay in France for 35 days and come away with that trophy.
Well, that's the longest they could stay there. Their goal is to win this championship. They've been training very hard. The reason why they were a little bit rusty in January for the CONCACAF championship was because they were with their college teams. But since January, this United States team has been together.
This is the group that will start for Coach Ika Klimkova. And this is really where you see a lot of the young stars start to emerge, names that you will perhaps see on the full senior team soon.
Well, they'll come out in a 4-3-3, and the key is Samantha Hyatt back there. She was the overwhelming captain choice for this team, and she needs to lead this team, keep them calm, especially in the first 10 minutes, and then play the way they know how to play, high pressure, put the Japanese team on their back foot because of how good they are in possession.
She will certainly be one of those key leaders in the back. Sophia Smith, a rising star on the offensive end, leading scorer for this United States team, wearing number 9. So certainly one to keep an eye out that many of these U.S. fans in attendance will be watching. Good showing in France. France, of course, the site of the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup on the senior level. So we certainly hope to be able to see a lot of U.S. fans in attendance for that as well. Qualifying coming up for the CONCACAF Nations this fall. Gladys Lingway, our center referee for the match today. It's the captain's meet. There is Sam Hyatt, number 16 for the U.S. in blue. Captain for Japan, number 4, Moeka Minami. And let's take a look at the starting lineup for Japan.
They'll come out in a traditional 4-4-2, and they are so compact in the midfield. They want to force teams to beat them out wide, beat them on the flank play. So keep an eye on their 4 midfielders, and Nagano, Mayazuma, Hayashi, and Miyagawa, as they will be compact, but they're also very creative and skilled in that midfield, and they'll be the playmakers for this Japanese team.
Futoshi Ikeru, the coach for Japan. These two teams were matched up in the same group in 2016. Japan won the group. No, excuse me, they were not the same group. Japan won the group. They wound up only meeting there in that 3rd place match, and it was a late goal from Japan in that one that got the winner in the 87th minute. Give Japan 3rd and USA a 4th place finish in 2016. And I really liked our conversations with Jitka Klimkova getting ready for this tournament and her visions of what this team can be.
Well, she likes to give them a lot of freedom as you look at all the subs for both of these teams, but freedom to allow these players to be themselves, to show their individuality, but also have that same American mentality that she's learned coming over to the United States, and that competitive environment and practice and on the field for every single game.
Jitka was named head coach of this squad in April of 2017, but joined U.S. Soccer in 2015 as a development coach. Japan will start things off. Japan in white, the U.S. in blue, and you can see some shadows coming down. It is a warm evening in France, and the USA is going to immediately get on the attack to start this. It's in the box, not cleared well by Japan. The shot taken, but Savannah DeMello missing wide.
And right away, we already saw Sophia Smith getting on the ball, dribbling at speed, and DeMello just misses, doesn't get the right strike on that, trying to bend it when she should have struck it with her laces. But Sophia Smith is that dangerous player on the ball with her speed, tactically smart, but she can also get in behind this Japanese team. So if they are not organized back there, she's going to be a threat for the United States.
Japan regrouping on the throw-in, but unable to keep it for very long. U.S. taking it away. Good battle in the middle as DeMello comes away with it. Lifts her head looking for options. Sophia Smith will try to run toward it, but won't get there. And a stand by the goalkeeper for Japan, and what a year it's been for Sophia Smith. She was the 2017 U.S. Soccer Young Player of the Year, and she has 21 career goals at the U-20 level, the most of anybody in this group, and amongst the most all-time in U.S. U-20 history. Sydney Leroux leading the way there, 29 goals at the U-20 level. One thing that you always expect from Japanese teams is a rhythm, and you can tell it's been very difficult for them to establish that much here. They do get an opening on the far side. left-footed ball is handled easily by the defense. Sam Hyatt. And now it'll be a throw for Japan.
You talk about that rhythm from Japan. One thing the United States wants to do is ICP, invite collective pressure. Put the Japanese players on immediate pressure, especially in the back, but even in the midfield. They want a lot of players after the ball, quick in transition.
May get some transition here as Smith is going after it. Boy, you better believe Hannah Stambaugh is going to have to be on her toes in this match.
Well done from Stambaugh coming off her line quickly because Sophia Smith had a clear path to the goal. And you can see how quickly the United States wants to get out. They turn and look, and only a couple of touches. They're attacking third, going for the box, but Stambaugh comes off her line quickly. You can see she got a little nick on her face at the very end.
Both of these teams have a pretty good amount of experience in World Cups, both with 10 players on their respective rosters who are a part of the 2016 U-17 World Cup. It was a disappointing tournament, though, for the U.S. there in 2016. Didn't get out of the group. And that was where they were matched up with Japan in the same group. Japan coming out and finishing second, just losing in the final on penalty kicks in that tournament to North Korea. Laurel Ivory, the goalkeeper for the U.S. in this match. This is her 13th appearance at the U-20 level. It's the most of any goalkeeper on this roster. And there's a little bit of that press. You see Japan was able to still make their way to the ball, but just the immediate grouping of U.S. players as soon as Japan won it.
And one thing the United States also wants to do is to build out of the back like you're seeing now, but they weren't sure about the high pressure, whether Japan would come at them a little bit higher or drop a little lower, which is what they faced earlier in the year. And it appears as though Japan is using that high pressure at the moment. And if the United States were to see that, we talked to Coach Klimkova, and she said they might have to be just a little bit more direct, a plan B, if they do get into difficult spots in their possession.
So we'll see as they figure things out here. That was Ashley Sanchez, number 2, trying to connect. Now Kiki Pickett won a national championship with Stanford last year. A couple of Stanford team members on this Team USA. Nanami Kitamura taking the throw in for Japan. It is taken away by Ashley Sanchez. Back to Pickett. This one manages to bounce through everyone. To Sam Hyatt. Another Stanford Cardinal. Pass it back to the goalkeeper. Plenty of time for these two to decide how they'd like to move up the field. Jalen Howell, number 18, back on the ball.
You're going to see her coming back a lot. They want to set play through their midfielders. She has excellent range. Her and Demella both are very good at changing the point of the attack. And for the United States to be successful against such a compact defense from Japan, they need to change the point quickly. Look up, get a couple passes on one side, and then find that opposite side to beat them around the outside.
Good step in by Hyatt to take over possession. Oh, not the greatest ball back from Hyatt that time. Laurel Ivory realizing it, really got on her toes to get up to it.
And that's the direct ball that they need to go ahead and play. Don't be afraid to just send it forward. You don't want to put your goalkeeper under pressure, especially this early in the game.
In the end, results in throw-in here for Japan. Clearance goes into the box. can hear Ivory saying, out, get it out of there. The U.S. unable to do so. That's when you can get burned at times. The shot taken, but off the mark by Asato Miyagawa.
And we saw yesterday how there are poor clearances everywhere, and it just lands at the feet of the Japanese players, and that's so difficult when there's this high pressure, poor clearances. The United States just really hasn't been able to get it out of their defensive third. They just need to be a little bit smarter on the ball, maybe a little bit more direct right now. You're still in the first 10 minutes. You have some nerves going about you. You have players like Sophia Smith up there who will run down any ball that you put into her area.
And sometimes, as you said, that is the right ball to play. Kiki Pickett getting ready for the throw-in. Starting right back for Stanford in their tremendous NCAA championship run a year ago. It was a great season for the Stanford team, and certainly they're going to be a team to be reckoned with again. Tierna Davidson, Andy Sullivan, both members of that team as well. Now the U.S. looking to get it up. Always DeMello making the run.
And Tierna Davidson is one of those players that could have been on this roster, but she's been performing so well for the U.S. full team. She was unable to be here, but you're seeing a lot of other stars showcase themselves in this tournament, trying to make a statement for why they should also be on the U.S. full team.
Sophia Smith will earn another throw in here for the U.S. Smith coming in on quite a streak, has scored in 9 straight games. That ties a youth national team scoring record. Actually, it is the youth national team scoring record, and it ties the record overall by Michelle Akers, who did it at the senior level in 1991. Talk about some consistency finding the back of the net.
Japan is doing a good job of double teaming, especially on this flank area. It's been difficult for the United States to even throw the ball in because of how far they're pushing their defenders over. If you can get that quick change of point, you can expose Japan in that way.
First corner kick of the match, Ashley Sanchez to take it. Far post, header, not gonna be on target. Jalen Howell the target for that one.
And wide open, just goes right over Girma. I think Howell was a little bit surprised at how wide open she was and that the ball actually came to her, which is why it sails over the bar, but Japan needs to be much more aware of marking in the box on those corner kicks.
Jalen Howell, only 2 goals in the 2018 year, but they were huge ones. Both of them coming at qualifying, including one in the 89th minute, which was a game winner against Jamaica, and then also had the only goal in the semi. Match that eventually went into penalties. That was against Haiti. Laurel Ivory taking a moment just to settle everybody down. But boy, number 19, Ruko Ueki, is making her presence felt.
The pressure of Japan is making its presence felt. The United States is not ready for it quite yet. They need to adjust a little bit, figure out how to play out of the back, indirectly and directly, but not putting their players under pressure like they've currently been doing.
Here is Smith. Ashley Sanchez, another one of those players who I think we've all had our eye on the last couple of years. She made history in 2016, first U.S. player ever to compete in both the U-17 and U-20 World Cups in the same year. She also scored in both of those tournaments. Here comes DeMello. Sayori Takarada in the middle of the field for Japan was fouled, so it'll be a free kick. Miyazawa brings it down. You can tell they're really trying to find Ueki there at the top.
So they are not building out, so let's drop.
Could just pick up some of the words over there from Jitka Klimkova, as she knows her team is trying to figure out exactly what Japan's throwing at them right
Exactly
now.
what you talked about with us is the pressure. She wasn't sure if it was going to be there, and that plan B. And now she's telling her team, plan B is we need to get out of here. The midfield of Japan has really given the United States midfield a lot of fits, and they're not able to possess as much as they want. So maybe just try a little bit more direct. Put the Japanese defense facing their goal on their back heel and utilize the strengths of up top. When you have a player like Sophia Smith and Sanchez and Gilroy with their speed, they can get in behind.
Smith unable to keep that ball at her feet. Japan looking for an opening. One of the best teams at finding those open spaces on the field. The U.S. trying to close those gaps as much as they can in this matchup.
Yeah, their skill set is so good all over the field, and the pressure that the United States really wants to, how they want to play, it's not working because of how good they are on the ball. The United States just has to be a little bit smarter. Don't pressure just to pressure. Pressure as a group, work together, especially the front three. And that'll put a little more pressure on the skilled Japanese back line.
Minami, the captain. The middle to Nagano. Japan did find an opening there, but then had nowhere really to go with it. Now have to go back.
That was much smarter pressure from the United States.
Aaron Gilroy, number 19, had it for a moment there for the U.S. This U.S. team made up of 16 players who are current collegiate players in the U.S., 5 youth club players who will all be rising freshmen in the fall, and all of those competed in the first season of U.S. Soccer Girls Development Academy.
Be aware of the gate, Izzy! Be aware of the gate!
11 different universities represented amongst this group. Sanchez. The U.S. into the sunshine. Here comes Gilroy, plays at the University of Tennessee. Trying to hold off Miyazawa. They won that battle and got it for Japan. Ushijima. Now Miyagawa.
You talked about the college game. It's extremely important for these players to play for their college teams. It helps to build them as players because they're playing against some of the best, and up in the age group, they have excellent coaches.
Here's the press. Will it pay off for Sophia Smith and the U.S.? They won it in a good area. Had a full head of steam going forward. But in the end, we're not able to get a shot. There's another good step from Hyatt, coming way up the field to win it, but she is whistled for the foul.
And going back to the collegiate game, it's just important for them to play. They've struggled a little bit, we talked about earlier in January, but it's because Klimkova is so big on talking with the coaches, communicating with them, watching them play. It's a great avenue for these players to build confidence, to build different skills, play in different systems, and it translates into this U-20 World Cup experience. And that was one of the big problems in the last World Cup for the U.S. team. They had to redshirt. They weren't able to play with their college coaches and their college teams. And this time around, the tournament is at a better time, so they don't have to redshirt. It was in the middle of the season in the last World Cup. But it is just helping to build them as players, and I love how Coach Klimkova is so big on the communication between all the teams.
Well, it's a great resource, and we have high-quality competition available at the collegiate level. And so it was a bit of a slow start for the U.S. in this calendar year. You saw that at CONCACAF, where Jitka Klimkova said we were not connected. We turned the ball over, couldn't keep possession. But she almost expected that because they just hadn't played collectively together. But that is what she has felt they have grown better with as this year's gone on. They spent a lot of time together, this U.S. team.
Yeah, ever since January, it's been all about this team. There's been a lot of camps, more than they're used to, but it's been great for them as chemistry, integrating the youth and the experience, getting some players back from injury, like Hyatt, now the captain, Emily Fox, who was out with an ACL tear. So it's just getting this group together has been so important since January.
Japan looking long on that service, but it'll wind up in the hands of Ivory. And what have you seen from Japan in the way that they have applied their pressure so far in this match?
Well, it's been smarter than the United States pressure. They're inviting them in, just like the United States wanted to do. They're inviting them in more to make the unforced errors, putting their players under unnecessary pressure. But then they're just very good at double teaming as soon as the ball gets sprayed wide or even in the middle of the field, and that's what we expect from the United States, but it's really been Japan so far in this game.
Picking their moments better, sounds like. Neither team has been able to really get much of an attempt on goal so far.
The transition has been the best for the United States. When they have Sophia Smith running with a head of steam with the ball, she's been dangerous. She just had a couple of missed touches at the very end, wasn't able to make the final pass. That's what they have to look for, a little bit more quicker passes, 1- and 2-touch soccer a little bit.
Guimara's ball taken away. Sanchez. Nice work to pick out DeMello. Takahashi finds an avenue through that midfield. Now a wide open player is Miyazawa. Miyazawa, her left-footed shot. Pretty easy save, but some nice work from Japan in that build-up.
And you're right, Miyazawa was wide open. She could have maybe combined a little bit more. That's a tough angle to shoot from. Unfortunately, Ivory had it covered with an easy save. But there was 3 or 4 Japanese players running into that box, and Miyazawa had looked up a little bit quicker. She could have found one of them.
Smith has DeMello. DeMello hoping to have a run there from Viviana Villacorta. UCLA product, whose team went to the College Cup a year ago.
Little cheeky move there from Sanchez.
It's worth another look. Offside flag will go up that time against Riko Ueki. She is really forcing that back line of the U.S. to
Look
be
how
aware of
dangerous
her.
that is. Gurma is way too far away. Pickett runs to try and deal with the 50-50 ball, but it really wasn't a good chance of Pickett to win. Pickett should have dropped back a little bit more instead of exposing Gurma like that, because she's only a couple of steps offside.
And Ueki, a proven scorer for this young Nadeshiko team. Was a leading scorer at the 2016 U-17 World Cup. Had 4 goals, including one against the U.S. qualified for this tournament by winning the 2017 AFC U-19 championship in China. That was in October of 2017, so quite a while ago. It was their 5th title. Pretty dominant performance by Japan in that tournament, outscoring their opposition 21-1, and had 11 different goal scorers, so quite a few different players helping out. But Takarada, number 11, was the leading scorer for Japan in that tournament, had 5 goals, including a hat trick against Vietnam. She's lurking around up there at the top of this formation for Japan, along with Ueki. There she is. Naomi Girma. Going to be a freshman at Stanford in the fall. Plays it back to Ivory, starting goalkeeper for the Virginia Cavaliers. This U.S. team adjust to what Japan is presenting? That was one of the things we were going to look for. Have you seen any adjustments yet, Kat, in what they're doing, or maybe what they need to do?
Well, they're being smarter on the ball. They're looking up before they're passing. At the very beginning of this game, they were going with the rhythm that they're accustomed to, especially on the training field, and putting Ivory under pressure, putting other defenders under pressure. But now they're taking a couple more touches. You can see the defenders have a lot of the possession, and I like this direct ball there because they're not able to find the midfield yet. That's the adjustment they need to figure out.
DeMello, the most capped, most experienced player that would be on this U.S. team. This is her 37th appearance at the U-20 level.
And she needs to touch the ball. She needs to combine a little bit more with Smith up top, with Sanchez and Gilroy on the outside. Even combine a little bit more with Howell and Villacorta in the midfield. You just haven't really seen them on the same page quite yet in this first half.
Ueki. Hyatt will come over to help out. What an important player Sam Hyatt is for this U.S. team. Ball sent just at the top of the box. Girma was there. Gilroy. Hear a lot of conversation going back there, a lot of that coming from Hyatt. Hayashi won it for Japan. This will be U.S. ball. Offside again.
Takarada and Ueki are on the verge of that back line, just a step offside. They're sneaking in between the lines of the back 4 for the United States, and the U.S. needs to turn their head just a little bit more and be aware of those 2 forwards because they combine really well.
And you get the feeling those 2 forwards for Japan are going to have their moment at some point. They're going to get the timing of the runs right. They're going to find the connection. And will the U.S. defense be in the right position to handle it? Isabel Rodriguez trying to feed Gilroy. Smith just out of the reach of Villacorta. The U.S. still in a good spot. Sanchez. Pickett will come up. Japan really crowding the space. And eventually thought they had the turnover, but instead it'll be a free kick for the USA.
And those are the pockets that Japan has been very successful in this game. They're not allowing the United States to easily beat them on the outside, but they're yet still remaining compact in the middle, and it's just been difficult for the U.S. to figure them out.
Both Pickett and Hyatt, teammates at Stanford, standing over the ball for the U.S. quiet. I think a little unsure as to the timing of that whistle. There seemed to be some confusion, some hands in the air from the U.S. players.
Well, the whistle shouldn't have been blown unless there was a foul committed or she wanted to talk to someone else. I would have been confused as well.
Yeah, opportunity gone by the wayside is what it eventually turns into. Every single one of these players for Japan plays their club soccer in their home country, except for one, number 10, Fuka Nagano, in the midfield. She plays in Korea. See Sophia Smith inserting herself a bit more, coming back to make herself a target, get involved.
Well, she wants to touch the ball. And for Japan, that's a win situation for her to drop back and try and get that ball, try and get touches. They don't want her living on the edge, living on that, the last of their line because of how fast she is.
Sanchez had Gilroy in the middle who had to pull her run back. And Kitamura takes it away. DeMello. Touch too strong as she won it. Hayashi took it over. Minami. Neither team really able to gain much of an advantage. I feel like they are in control of this match so far.
Japan's had better run of play. They've had better possession. They've been smarter all over the field so far.
See if they can create something out of this attempt. The ball will go to Ivory. Easy grab, though, for the goalkeeper from Surfside, Florida.
Their issue has been the final pass, and this was right to Ivory, an easy cross for her to handle. If they can slip in a little bit more, combine at the top of the box, see what they can get in. Once they lure some of the defenders, the U.S. defenders out, that's where they'll be better. But other than that, Japan has been a much better side so far.
And I mentioned it earlier that these two have become familiar foes really at all levels. Said they were the last opponent for the U.S. Japan at the U-20 World Cup. Japan won it at the U-17 World Cup, both of those in 2016. Run here for Japan could be dangerous. Miyazawa, the cross, far post, the header off the crossbar. Japan still trying for it. Ivory got a hand to it, got knocked into the goal. This is going to be called back. A lot of contact there, and really give some credit to Laurel Ivory for holding her ground. It was definitely a foul that pushed her over the goal line.
And this is excellent play, getting right in behind Pickett. Miyazawa with a good ball in, a poor clearance, and wide open is Takarada on the backside, and almost goes in, but an excellent save from Ivory, and an absolute foul running in, taking out Ivory. But so many, a missed clearance, and a little tip from Ivory is what saved the United States from giving up a first half goal.
There's a little bit of luck with the crossbar, and then some toughness and a good touch, as you said, from Ivory after the fact. Do believe that was the right call from our referee, Gladys Lengwe. Ivory back on her feet. Gotta be tough to be a goalkeeper, you know, Kat.
That's what I hear.
Toughness all over the field, though, no question, for both of these teams. Great sequence for Japan, too, on that one, as Miyazawa got it started, getting around Pickett.
Well, they finally got in a good final pass, and that's why that opportunity was so dangerous, and the United States just wasn't able to clear it out because they're running back to the goal. It's a difficult clearance in that situation.
The turn from Takarada. And just to add to what I was saying, familiar foes with these two teams is not only at the youth level. Think about the last World Cups at the senior level. 2015, the USA got the victory over Japan in the final 5-2. Carly Lloyd hat-trick there in 16 minutes to get them started. And then in 2011, it was Japan who had the victory over the USA in penalties.
This is quite the rivalry between these two teams. You see each other during the year a lot as well, but it's still difficult to break Japan down playing against such technically sound players. It's so difficult. I always would get frustrated as a player playing against players like Amari Sawa, who's one of the best players I've ever played for, FIFA World Player of the Year for Japan. And these players are all the same. They're so technically gifted, and they work on it for hours and hours every day.
I think one of the most amazing things I saw on the training ground in Canada 2015 was Japan in training. And what they did, I wanted to take a video. It was so good just from what I was seeing, the precision, the passing, the touches. And there's that chance that came so close. What a grab right there.
A perfect touch from Ivory. And you can see at the very end how that post just hits her right in the face.
First corner kick of the match coming for Japan. Are they playing with a bit more confidence now after getting so close, getting denied by a glove and a crossbar and a foul? No foul that time. The U.S. has a chance to counter if they can get it up the field. That's exactly what they'll try to do. Pickett leading the charge. Right down the middle she goes. Has Sanchez on the right, plays it to the left for DeMello to run onto. The cross. Touched by the goalkeeper, but it didn't go far. Excellent opportunity in transition for the U.S., and it's not over yet. Sanchez. Pops it wide. Gilroy tracks it down. Ball into the area. Much easier for Stambaugh that time to contend with.
But that's the dangerous United States that we're used to seeing in transition so fast. Pickett was just able to dribble for 20, 30 yards and look up, find DeMello. But Stambaugh was able to just get a little tip and force the cross to get out of the way of the U.S. players.
Villacorta to Smith. Very composed on the ball, but in the end wound up losing it. Gilroy applying some pressure.
Composed, but I would have liked to see a pass there. She took that extra touch and it went right into the Japanese defenders.
Ueki. Hyatt trying to keep Ueki in check. Excellent timed tackle. Howell coming over with the big clearance. Space now for Japan, and Hayashi. Ueki on it again. Pickett steering her down, but Ueki still with her right foot on the ball. Miyazawa. Kizumura. The header not on frame. Japan is out shooting the U.S. in this match.
And that should be a win by Girma. With how tall she is, she allowed for Takarada just to come in, beat her to the ball. Her desire to want to score was greater than Girma, and that just needs to be better from the United States defensively.
Japan, USA opening up this 2018 U-20 Women's World Cup. Group C action, and Spain has already picked up a win over Paraguay earlier today. Top two teams from each group advance. There are 4 groups. And a turnover in a dangerous spot here for Japan. See if they can make something of it. Nagano. Takarada was there but could not get onto it. DeMello. Kitamura lifting her head. DeMello's touch a little bit soft, but then a foul will give the U.S. the free kick.
And the U.S. they're trying to find a rhythm. You can see it. But the Japanese defenders are in the right place. A definite foul here against Villacorta, but they're in the right place and are not allowing for the United States to 1-2 touch combination through the midfield, forcing the ball over the top and not really finding their players. They can't figure out the runs because the defense is just so compact and disciplined from Japan.
Smith on the takeaway. DeMello now to pick it. Sanchez. Stumbling a little. Maybe a throw for the U.S. Will Ashley Sanchez have an opportunity to leave her mark on this tournament? Had 2 goals in the 3-2 loss to Japan in the U-17 World Cup in 2016. We talked about this some in the matches yesterday, Kat, especially seeing the Mexico team that won its first ever CONCACAF title in qualifying, beating the U.S. in penalties in the final. There's just so much great competition across the world with these young teams where some countries, the U.S. included, at times they were able to dominate. It is not that way anymore.
Well, it's all about the federations around the world putting forth money into the women's programs. It's so important for them to have competition. They have pro leagues now that they can go into and just play all seasons and every day as long as they want. And a deserved yellow card there from DeMello with the grab. But that's the difference, and that's why it's going to be more difficult for the United States to keep having the expectations. You can see that definite yellow. To have the expectations in the top 4, but you still should have that. It's the United States, and the money is there, the coaches are there. They just have to figure out a way to play different styles, and this is one of those styles that is always difficult to win against.
Great job winning the ball that time by Gilroy. Smith has a chance, takes a shot, it's blocked, and then the ball is just hanging out there, but nobody else able to get onto it, so Stambaugh snatches it up.
And much better here from Smith, beating her defender with a little touch, and if she had just gotten a little chip over it, Stambaugh was already going to the ground, wasn't able to get underneath it, which allowed Stambaugh and the defender to get in front of it.
The attacking players for both of these teams, U.S. and Japan, have given us glimpses of what we may see. And Japan certainly with the best opportunity of the half when they had that ball go off the crossbar and then off the glove of Ivory.
Well, it's all about the transition right now for the United States. If they can get out quickly, if they can find those passes, find their players quick, make the runs quick, the decisions early, they are successful.
You talked about that plan B that the U.S. may have to go to depending on what they saw from Japan, and part of that was rebuilding. Once you move the ball a little bit further up the field, then you start to rebuild that possession. It's not entirely reliant upon having to have the long ball all the time.
But the run has to be there, and that's the key right now for those 3 attacking players up top.
The run of Sanchez disrupted by the Japanese captain, Minami.
And maybe interchange a bit. Sanchez, Gilroy, and Smith up top. Maybe Smith come out wide a little bit. Sanchez goes centrally, Gilroy as well, just to offset the back four of Japan.
Nothing doing that time around. Be a goal kick for Japan. How do you think the U.S. goes into the half feeling about this one?
They're going to be disappointed, but at the same time, it's 0-0. They know it's the first half of the first game of the tournament. They can go in, make some adjustments, figure out how to deal with the pressure up top from Japan and in the midfield of Japan. Find their midfielders more, find their attacking players more. That's what they have to figure out. And if they do go into half 0-0, they have to be happy about that.
Naomi Girma wanted to go down the middle that time. Jalen Howell trying to pick out Gilroy. Can see the shadow covering about half the field. Howell trying to set up Sanchez this time. Keeps it in. Pickett.
I like that from Howell, though. She missed the first change of point, got the second one, and you can see how open Sanchez was on that right side. Gilroy could have been the same way. If Howell and Villacorta and DeMello in the midfield can get that change of point quickly, that's a way that the U.S. can beat the back four and that midfield of Japan.
Now, Villacorta really hasn't been on the ball very much at all. Howell, much more so in that possession than we've seen in many in this match so far for the U.S.
She's very good at setting play. She just hasn't had time with the pressure. There she figured out to drop a little bit lower and receive the ball in a much better angle to find her players.
Gilroy earns the throw for the U.S. here. Izzy Rodriguez will come up to take it. That ball did go out of bounds, so Rodriguez will try it again. She was a part of Ohio State Buckeyes' first Big Ten title a year ago.
Grabbing.
Don't expect to see an awful lot of stoppage time added on to this first half as we are nearing the end of the 45 minutes. The U.S. will get a free kick here just around midfield.
Yeah, definite push there from Miyazawa on DeMello. It's been a good battle between the two of them.
Minimum of 1 minute of stoppage time added on to our first half. Villacorta. Smith spinning around a couple of defenders, opening some space in front of her, working with DeMello. Savannah DeMello had the ball taken away from her. Japan now looking up the field, trying to feed Takarada. Two defenders to beat for Takarada. Got caught up in her own footing a little bit there as Pickett having to do a ton of defending and does it well.
Well done there from Pickett. Keeping her feet, not stepping too quickly. She's an excellent 1v1 player. She gets up and down the field so well for this U.S. team.
So no score at the end of our first 45 minutes. We will recap the entire day of action when we come back.